On this day in history, January 27th. In 1591, Dr. John Fian, a Scottish schoolmaster, was executed for witchcraft at Castle Hill in Edinburgh by order of King James VI. His execution was part of the North Berwick witch trials, which were among the first major witchcraft persecutions in Scotland. These trials were notable for their brutality and the significant number of individuals accused in the small town of North Berwick. The trials were fueled by King James VI's personal interest in witchcraft, leading to widespread fear and persecution. In 1593, the Roman Catholic Church initiated a trial against Italian scholar and former friar Giordano Bruno, accusing him of blasphemy and theological heresy. Bruno was known for his controversial ideas, including the belief in an infinite universe and multiple worlds. His trial was prolonged, lasting over 7 years, and concluded with his execution in 1600. Bruno's case remains a significant example of the conflict between emerging scientific ideas and established religious doctrines during the Renaissance. In 1671, Welsh privateer Henry Morgan led a successful assault on Panama City, one of the wealthiest Spanish settlements in the Americas. Morgan's forces traversed the Isthmus of Panama and captured the city, which they subsequently looted and burned. This raid was part of a series of attacks by privateers on Spanish holdings in the New World and significantly impacted Spanish colonial power. In 1823, President James Monroe appointed the first U.S. ambassadors to South American nations. This move recognized the independence of several South American countries from Spanish rule and marked the beginning of formal diplomatic relations between the United States and the newly independent nations. In 1825, President James Monroe urged Congress to approve the creation of an Indian territory west of the Mississippi River. He advocated for the relocation of eastern Native American tribes to this territory, believing it would promote their welfare and happiness. This proposal laid the groundwork for future policies leading to the forced relocation of Native Americans, most notably the Trail of Tears. In 1853, the U.S. whaling and sealing vessel Levant, captained by Mercator Cooper, made the first known landing on mainland Antarctica at Oates Coast, Victoria Land. This expedition contributed to the early exploration and mapping of the Antarctic continent. In 1870, Kappa Alpha Theta, the first Greek letter sorority for women, was founded at DePauw University in Greencastle, Indiana. This organization provided women with greater opportunities for leadership and community, paving the way for the future growth of sororities in American higher education. In 1894, the University of Chicago played against the Chicago YMCA in the first known college basketball game. The University of Chicago won the game with a score of 19-11. This event marked the beginning of basketball as a collegiate sport, which would grow significantly in popularity in the following decades. In 1915, U.S. Marines occupied Haiti following political instability and concerns over foreign influence in the region. The occupation lasted until 1934 and had lasting impacts on Haiti's political and economic systems. In 1926, physicist Erwin Schrödinger published his theory of wave mechanics, introducing what is now known as the Schrödinger equation. This foundational work in quantum mechanics provided a new framework for understanding the behavior of particles at the atomic and subatomic levels. In 1939, the Lockheed P-38 Lightning, a distinctive twin-engine fighter aircraft, made its first flight. The P-38 played a significant role during World War II, serving in various capacities including interception, dive bombing, and reconnaissance. In 1943, the United States conducted its first air attack on Germany, targeting the naval base at Wilhelmshaven. This raid marked the beginning of the U.S. strategic bombing campaign against Germany during World War II. In 1944, the Soviet Red Army lifted the siege of Leningrad after 880 days. The siege resulted in the deaths of over 2 million people, making it one of the longest and most devastating sieges in history. In 1945, Soviet troops liberated the Auschwitz and Birkenau concentration camps in Poland. This event is now commemorated as International Holocaust Remembrance Day, honoring the victims of the Holocaust. In 1953, the Netherlands concluded its participation in the Marshall Plan, the U.S. initiative to aid European economic recovery after World War II. The aid had been instrumental in rebuilding the Dutch economy in the post-war years. In 1956, RCA Records released Elvis Presley's single Heartbreak Hotel. The song became his first million-seller and is considered one of his most iconic hits. In 1965, the first ground station-to-aircraft radio communication via satellite was achieved, marking a significant advancement in aviation and communication. On January 27, 1967, a fire broke out in NASA's Apollo 1 command module during a launch rehearsal, killing astronauts Gus Grissom, Ed White, and Roger B. Chaffee. The tragedy highlighted critical safety flaws in the Apollo program, leading to major design and procedural changes that ultimately ensured the success of future missions, including Apollo 11's moon landing. In 1970, the Motion Picture Association of America, MPAA, updated its movie rating system, changing the M, mature rating to PG, parental guidance. This change clarified audience guidelines, helping parents decide what content was suitable for their children. On January 27, 1973, the Paris Peace Accords were signed by representatives from the U.S., North Vietnam, South Vietnam, and the Viet Cong. The agreement officially ended U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War and paved the way for the withdrawal of American troops, though conflict continued between North and South Vietnam. UCLA's basketball team achieved its 61st consecutive victory, setting an NCAA record. Coached by John Wooden and led by star players like Bill Walton, UCLA's dominance in the 1970s made it one of the most legendary teams in college basketball history. On January 27, 1983, a pilot tunnel was completed under the Tsugaru Strait as part of Japan's Seikan Tunnel project. The tunnel, which would connect Honshu and Hokkaido by rail, became the world's longest railway tunnel upon its completion in 1988, spanning over 53 kilometers. On January 27, 1992, former heavyweight boxing champion Mike Tyson went on trial for the rape of Desiree Washington. Tyson was later found guilty and sentenced to 6 years in prison, serving 3 before being released on parole. Germany observed its first official Holocaust Remembrance Day on January 27, 1996, commemorating the liberation of Auschwitz and honoring the victims of the Holocaust. The day serves as a somber reminder of the atrocities committed during World War II. On January 27, 2013, a fire broke out at the Kiss nightclub in Santa Maria, Brazil, caused by pyrotechnics used by a performing band. The tragedy resulted in 245 deaths and injured over 600 people, most from toxic smoke inhalation. The incident raised awareness of safety violations and overcrowding in public venues. On January 27, 2023, representatives from around the world gathered at the Auschwitz-Birkenau concentration camp site to commemorate International Holocaust Remembrance Day. Among the attendees was Doug Emhoff, the first Jewish spouse of a U.S. president or vice president, highlighting the importance of Holocaust education and remembrance. In January 2023, an urgent search was launched for a tiny radioactive capsule that had fallen off a truck during a 1,400-kilometer journey in Western Australia. The capsule, only 6 mm by 8 mm, posed serious health risks due to its high radiation levels. The search attracted global attention for its unusual circumstances and the dangers posed.